So picture a national mobilization scale that, honestly rivals major military deployments. Right now, there are over 30,000 personnel on the ground across the United States.
Which is just a massive footprint.
It really is. I mean, we're tracking 661 hand crews, over 1,800 engines, and I think 204 helicopters, all actively battling 97 uncontained large fires.
Yeah.
And the entire country is sitting at preparedness level 5.
Right, which fundamentally alters how we manage environmental crises. I mean, at preparedness level 5, local jurisdictions, they no longer operate in a vacuum.
Right, you're sharing everything.
Exactly. A single equipment request in one county now competes directly against a critical need, like 3 states away. The national supply chain for firefighting resources is effectively tapped out.
Well, and that structural strain is exactly why we're pulling our data today from the August 9, 2026 Wildfire Edition report from the Daily Tech Reader.
Yeah, which is an interesting source for this.
It is, because, you might usually visit their blog for, updates on OpenAI's GPT 5.6 or to see the newest Chinese AI models. But today, their mission required focusing entirely on this incredibly detailed national wildfire data. They pivoted completely.
Their approach to the data is incredibly revealing. By treating fire behavior and atmospheric data as interconnected system inputs, they expose these massive gaps in the official narratives.
Definitely. So the goal of our deep dive today is to really break down the sheer scale of this August 2026 wildfire crisis.
Yes.
We want to understand why the official numbers are, well, actually pretty deceiving, and explore the unique, often contradictory challenges facing different regions of the American West.
It's so important to grasp this.
It really is. And for you listening, even if you don't live out west, understanding this level of national resource strain and the extreme weather phenomena driving it is crucial for grasping how massive environmental events just unfold in real time.
Absolutely. And, the best place to start analyzing that systemic failure is at the macro level, specifically the built-in flaw in the top-line reporting.
Right. So the National Interagency Fire Center, or NFC, they're officially reporting 3.45 million acres burn in large fires.
Yeah.
But the agency openly admits that figure understates the true total. Okay, let's unpack this. The report says mapping is lagging behind the sheer pace of the fire growth in the Northwest.
It is, yeah.
I mean, that's like trying to measure a puddle while the dam is actively breaking.
That is a perfect analogy.
Right, the water is just rushing past the measuring tape. But why? We have constant satellite overpasses and infrared flights. Why is our mapping lagging so badly?
Well, it's because of extreme atmospheric mechanics.
Yeah.
The fires are simply outrunning the technology used to track them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so over the weekend, a dry, cold front swept through the Pacific Northwest. And this brought breezy westerly winds, like gusting to 40 miles per hour directly through the Cascade Gaps.
That is incredibly fast.
It is.
Yeah.
And when you combine those mechanical winds with relative humidity in the single digits to low teens, plus no rain forecast for the next 7 to 10 days, the fire behavior becomes explosive.
So by the time a plane flies over, maps it, and the data actually gets processed, the fire line has already moved miles away.
Exactly. The data is obsolete the moment it hits the screen. And this mapping lag is most severe in the Pacific Northwest, which is currently dominating the entire national wildfire picture.
Yeah, let's talk about Oregon. It is currently the most fire-impacted state in the nation.
It's really bad there.
They have 56 active incidents consuming nearly 1.95 million acres, which is rapidly approaching their all-time record.
And the scale of the individual fires is just staggering.
Right, like the Big Grass Fire in Malheur County. That one is over 504,000 acres and only 39% contained. Plus the Crosswhite Fire at 337,000 acres and Grasshopper at 54,000 acres.
It's just massive continuous acreage burning.
And Washington is dealing with the exact same thing. 36 active incidents, over 530,000 acres. You've got the Kaiser Canyon, Sinlahicken, and Little Giant fires, mostly in Okanogan and Chelan counties, totaling nearly 374,000 acres.
Yeah, and the critical thing to note about Washington is the expiration of the PDS red flag warning.
The particularly dangerous situation warning.
Right. That specific designation has literally never been issued in the Pacific Northwest before this season.
Wow, never. That really shows how unprecedented this is. But I do want to push back on the weather narrative for just a second.
Okay, let's hear it.
Looking at the Nunamaker Road fire in Washington, that one is 25,000 acres with 0% containment. But the report specifically notes this fire was human-caused.
Yes, it does.
So with humidity in the single digits, how much of this crisis is unstoppable weather versus entirely preventable human error? Like, shouldn't they have caught a roadside ignition early?
What's fascinating here is the threshold where rapid response mathematically fails.
What do you mean?
Well, while humans obviously ignite the spark, the unprecedented elevated fire, whether like those 40-mile-per-hour gusty winds in Pendleton and bone-dry conditions in Wenatchee, turns a localized error into a disaster instantly.
Because it just spreads too fast for the first engines on the scene.
Exactly. When dead fuel moisture is that low, a single spark doesn't just smolder. In 40-mile-per-hour winds, it throws embers a quarter-mile ahead of the main fire. You literally cannot put crews in front of it safely.
Oh, wow. So it's a 25,000-acre zero-containment disaster almost from day one.
Precisely. The weather dictates the outcome regardless of how it started.
Okay, that makes sense. And those winds from the cold fronts, they don't just stop at the coast, right? They push inland.
They do, yeah. They move right across the Great Basin in the Rockies.
Which creates this really specific, incredibly insidious condition out there. Like in Utah, they have 17 incidents and over 324,000 acres burned.
Which is the third highest in the U.S. right now.
Right. Highlighting the Widemouth 2 fire at 115,000 acres, 27% contained, and the Babylon fire at 107,000 acres.
And Idaho is feeling it too. 18 incidents, 175,000 acres.
Yeah, I saw the Tartar fire is up to 158,000 acres, though that one is 87% contained. But then they have the MM115 Highway 20 fire, which is totally uncontained and highly concerning.
And don't forget Colorado and Nevada. Colorado has the Aspen Acres fire at 102,000 acres, and Nevada is fighting the Mouse Meadow fire at 51,000 acres.
And a lot of this is being driven by extreme heat, right? Like temperatures exceeding 100 degrees Fahrenheit on Colorado's western slope.
Yes, but it's not just the daytime heat. The NIFC issued fuels and fire behavior advisories for southwest Idaho, eastern Nevada, and central Utah, specifically because of something called poor overnight humidity recovery.
Right. I wanted to ask about that. So poor overnight recovery is kind of like a boxer who doesn't get to sit down between rounds.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Like the bell rings, but instead of getting to rest and rehydrate, the referee just makes you keep fighting. The landscape gets zero relief from the moisture, keeping it primed to burn 247.
Exactly. That analogy is spot on.
Oh.
Wildfires usually have extended burning periods during the day, but they lay down at night when the temperature drops and humidity rises.
Right, which gives the crews a chance to actually fight it.
Exactly. That is their window to safely attack the blaze. But when you have poor overnight humidity recovery, the fire doesn't slow down. It just keeps ripping through the timber at 3 a.m. with the same intensity as 3 p.m.
That sounds absolutely exhausting for the firefighters.
It severely limits the windows they have to safely engage. They are forced into a completely defensive posture.
Man, okay, well, here's where it gets really interesting. We've been talking about these massive mega fires, but then we look at California, Montana, and Wyoming, and we see a totally different strategic problem.
Yeah, the paradox of high count versus low acreage.
Exactly. Like California has 108 active incidents right now. That is the highest count by far, double what Oregon has.
But their acreage is tiny in comparison.
Right, roughly 24,500 total acres. The Gann fire is the largest at just 10,000 acres, and this is while Redding is facing near 108-degree extreme heat.
And you see a very similar pattern in the northern Rockies.
Yeah, Montana has 35 incidents across just 34,600 acres. The Sand Creek fire is at 9,000 acres with only 1% containment.
And Wyoming has 24 incidents, mostly under 300 acres, like the Bear Fire, which is only 443 acres, but 0% contained.
So let me ask you this. Is this a sign of successful rapid response? Or is California just playing a massive game of whack-a-mole where any of these 108 fires could explode at any second due to dry lightning risks in the Sierra?
It is absolutely a strain on resources, and it's much closer to that game of whack-a-mole.
Really? Because keeping them small seems like a win.
It is a win initially, but managing over 100 geographically scattered incidents fractures your resource pool. And the landscape in Montana and Wyoming, for example, is full of highly receptive grassland and brush fields.
So they can ignite really easily.
Yes. And on top of that, regional smoke from the Pacific Northwest is causing poor visibility across Montana and Wyoming.
Oh, so they can't even see the new fires starting?
Right. It makes tracking and containing these widespread smaller incidents a total logistical nightmare. If an air patrol can't see the smoke from a new lightning strike, because the valley is already choked with smoke, that small fire can blow up before engines even get dispatched.
Wow. So any one of those 108 fires in California or the 35 in Montana could be the next mega fire.
Exactly. It's a huge vulnerability.
Speaking of lightning risks, the weather in the Southwest is playing a completely different, almost contradictory role compared to the rest of the country.
Yeah, this is what I like to call the monsoon wildcard.
Right. Let's look at Arizona and New Mexico. Arizona has 14 incidents at just about 4,000 acres, including the Island Fire at 3,145 acres.
And New Mexico has 28 incidents around 4,100 acres.
Yeah, like the Frijoles Fire, which is 1,000 acres and 0% contained. So what is this monsoon wildcard doing?
Well, the Southwest is in its monsoon season, but the wet storm coverage is well below average right now.
Meaning they aren't getting the rain they usually rely on to put fires out?
Exactly. Instead, they're getting isolated dry lightning, which sparks the fires. But the really dangerous part is the mechanical structure of these dry storms.
What do you mean by mechanical structure?
So even if a thunderstorm doesn't drop rain to the ground, it still drops a massive column of cold, dense air. When that hits the ground, it spreads outward in all directions. It's called an outflow boundary.
So a storm rolling in which you'd usually, pray for during a wildfire can actually act like a giant unpredictable bellows fanning the flames in completely random directions.
Exactly. The outflow winds can produce sudden, erratic fire behavior and dramatic wind shifts near existing incidents.
That must be terrifying for the crews on the ground.
It is. If you've anchored your fire line based on a westerly wind and suddenly a microburst hits and pushes 50-mile-per-hour gusts in a 360-degree circle, the fire can just blow right past containment lines. It removes all predictability.
Wow. It really shows how interconnected all of this is. Whether you're dealing with a choking smoke haze in Missoula, or sweating through 108-degree heat in Chico, or just observing from across the country, weather, topography, and human action are all tied together.
They completely dictate the national response.
Right. I mean, over 30,000 personnel are currently deployed. This isn't just a regional issue. It is a massive national logistical challenge.
And the system is stressed to its absolute limit trying to keep up.
It is. And, we traditionally measure the severity of wildfires by acres burned and percentages contained.
Right, the standard metrics.
But as we saw in the Pacific Northwest today, the fires are moving so fast that our satellite and mapping technologies literally cannot keep up with the destruction.
They're completely outpacing the tech.
Which really forces you to wonder, are we approaching a future where our traditional metrics for tracking disasters are just completely obsolete?
That is a very sobering thought. We might need entirely new ways to understand these events.
It's definitely something for you to mull over. Just think about that the next time you see a fire perimeter on the news. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.